This video is sponsored by Skillshare.
Hi! I don't know what project I'm going to do this week. I mean, you'll know because you read the title of the video, but at the time of recording this, I have no idea. I mean, I had a video planned for this week, and then I looked at the calendar and I went, gadzooks, I do not have enough time for that. So this week we are going to simply do what a bird would do when propelling themselves off the ground and wing it. And by that I mean, I'm basically just gonna go to the craft store and wander around and look at all of the pretty things until I find something that sparks my inspiration, and then I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna make a thing. So let's go to the craft store.
Jeepers creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Jeepers.
Once at the Hobby Lobby, I just kind of wandered around the fall sale aisles until I found myself in an aisle that I didn't even know existed. The moss section. Moss section. And immediately, I knew what I was doing this week. So I spent a healthy amount of time being indecisive about my selection.
Just buying a lot of moss at this point.
And after being indecisive about moss, I was indecisive about imitation foliage. I eventually went with this. And before leaving, I got weirdly fascinated by all the fake food they had. And a little hungry, if I'm being honest.
They have bagels. All kinds of bread, actually. Oh my gosh. Why is this so satisfying? Fake bread. Who knew? Eggs. I don't know what it is about fake food, but I like it.
But after that, I finally checked out with all my leafy spoils.
Don't even want to know how much money I just spent on moss. So I think now's a good time to direct you all to my Patreon.
Hello, my sweet, sweet Bogwitch children. I now have materials. So that was a bit of an adventure, wasn't it? And in the end, oh boy, oh dear goodness gracious, my wallet is convulsing and in a great deal of pain. But anyways, let me show you guys what I got. Hold on. We are missing something. Okay, hold on. You guys are witnessing a crisis live on camera right now because I don't know where several of the things I bought are, and they were very expensive. I have to go look in my car real quick. Okay, so yeah, I'm missing a bag, so that's cool. But I will paraphrase what I got. So first of all, very expensive fake moss, and then some beautiful foliage that's got like green and then also some like burgundy purple in there. And of the missing Hobby Lobby things, I think it's gonna really look like I'm wearing the forest, which is the goal here. And then from Dollar Tree, I got this nice little garland that's also kind of purple. And then because you guys know, I can't help myself with this, LED lights. I don't know where these are gonna go yet, but they're gonna go in there somewhere. So for design, I'm thinking I just wanna make like a witch hat and then basically a little capelet. Like I said, the goal here is I wanna look like I'm wearing the forest, very much serving Radagast core, very much serving probably what Hagrid looks like before he bathes. To avoid spending any more money, I'm going to reuse all of this extra felt that I have left from my Libra Witch project because I bought so much of it and I barely had to use any of it. This is going to serve me very well for many a project to come. And I'm going to line it with our illustrious green fabric that I've been using for literally every single project every week. Really getting my money's worth out of that. So before I get started, I have to run back to Hobby Lobby and get my missing items. So that's fun. But before we do that, while I still have some sunlight, I think that some foraging is in order. And because why not, I also wanted to decorate a little witch staff for this costume as well. So I hopped the barbed wire fence and went a-rummaging, desperately hoping to find all of the staff sticks that I saved for my fox mask video in the spring. I found some other contenders, but they just weren't that great. And finally discovered that the staff sticks that I saved from the spring were in my firewood pile all along. So I ended up picking this contraption, which is just, it's beautiful. Okay, I am gonna go back to Hobby Lobby. Get in, loser, I have to go find my missing Hobby Lobby bag. Is this getting to be a tired bit?
We're back.
Yay. 2 seconds later.
And now we have acquired our wayward bag. It's good to have you home, little buddy. And now we're back, and I finally have everything I need to make this. I have my little Wayward bag, and it is already 5 p.m. So I'm thinking that I just need to kind of crack on and try to get all of the main clothing pieces done. It's gonna be pretty bog standard. Cut them out, sew them up, and that's kind of the boring part. So I think I'm gonna speed through that so I can just get to the fun part of sculpting little mushrooms and painting them, and then just hot gluing on all of this expensive foliage that I bought from Hobby Lobby, because that's really what I want to do today. I've been so busy this month that I haven't really been able to enjoy the Halloween vibes, and this week I'm gonna be a little selfish and enjoy the vibes, okay? Anyways, let's get to it. I think first I'm gonna start on the cloak because I think it's gonna be pretty easy, but I might just eat my words because I do that a lot. I eat a balanced diet of my words whenever I say that things aren't gonna take as long as they always take me because I'm slow at everything. Okay, cloak time. Also, I'm gonna watch Hocus Pocus while I do this just because I just feel like I need the Sanderson sisters to guide me in my witchy pursuits. I mean, what do I do if I see some pavement? How will I know if it's firm? I need them to guide me. Okay.
To draft out the capelet, I just took a length measurement and a neck hole measurement, and then drafted out the capelet on the fold of the fabric the same way I would for a circle skirt. Then my scissors got a tasty snack and I cut it out, and also cut out a lining. I also wanted the capelet to have a collar and a hood as to make me feel like a Jedi Knight, so I cut out a collar piece complete with an inner canvas structure, and then I drafted a mock-up for a hood, deciding that would work just fine for my Jedi ambitions. So then I cut out an outer and lining piece for the hood, and then I decided it was a good time to contemplate just how few Halloween movies I had watched this year. And after some reflection on my egregious actions, I decided that tonight was the night that I would try to watch as many Halloween movies as humanly possible. Anyways, after that I took a brim measurement for the witch hat, and began cutting out my pieces in combination with the witch hat pattern I made last year. So I cut out the brim, the cone, and lining pieces, and after that it was time to start pinning, so while throwing on another movie, I began the sewing process. I sewed up the brim of the witch hat and ironed it, and then inserted some galvanized wire into the brim of the hat for some structure. After that, I pinned and sewed up the cone pieces. Just ignore the fact that I sewed it the wrong way the first time. You didn't see that. And pinned the cone to the brim so I could attach those pieces together. So I attached those layers, and threw on some more entertainment while the executive producer inspected my progress. And once it was approved, I cut and inserted some craft foam to add some more structure to the brim, and began pinning the cone lining layer to the brim lining. I tried to stitch these together by machine, but I decided that wasn't really working, so I decided to hand sew it up instead, which the executive producer took a keen interest in, and it also took me a long time, but the executive producer kept me on my toes, even going as far as to come over several times to approve my progress. And after nearly an hour of furious hand sewing, the base of the witch hat was now complete.
By the way, if you need like a last-minute Halloween project or like a quick beginner sewing project, a witch hat and a capelet is actually pretty doable. And if you need help on the sewing front, I recommend checking out this video's sponsor, Skillshare. For the uninitiated, Skillshare is a massive online learning community that offers a variety of classes on creative topics. For the last 2 years that I've been using their platform, I found it to be particularly helpful when learning new sewing techniques. Which is what brought me back to Denise Byron's class, Sewing Basics, Make Your Own Clothing. I've discussed this class on the channel before, but I feel like it's especially relevant to my current content because I'm just sewing so much stuff. I get so many comments on the channel that are just like, I'd love to make this, but I have no idea how to sew. And you're right, sewing can be really intimidating, which is why it helps to have a good teacher. Denise covers pretty much every kind of seam or finishing that you could need to know as a beginner, and these are so important to making a garment feel finished and wearable. It is definitely something that I have been working on in my sewing journey. In fact, I am wearing this, I made all of this, so we're learning. I mean, last week is the first time I ever did a French seam, and I got like way too much confidence from it. Skillshare's knowledge will give you confidence. I mean, not guaranteed, but probably. And if you need help with patterning, I learned how to drape from Anya Ayongchi's draping class. And if you don't have a sewing machine, the lovely Bernadette Banner does have a class all about hand sewing for beginners. So Skillshare really does have everything you need to start. But if sewing isn't your jam, Skillshare really does offer a near infinite amount of classes, with over 900 classes being added each month, so you will never run out of things to learn. As a visual and kinesthetic learner, I really like that Skillshare's classes are designed to learn by doing? They have bite-sized lessons and full classes run between 40 and 60 minutes, which is just... And each class offers a class project, which will give you the opportunity to receive feedback from the teacher and others in the community, which is great if you're a beginner. So if you want to check these classes out and learn to sew, you can now take these classes for free by using the link in my description box. You'll also receive unlimited access to tens of thousands of additional classes for a whole month. Thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring my journey into becoming an eccentric moss-covered wizard. Now let's get back to it.
So then I started my 4th Halloween film of the evening and began trimming and pinning the outer and lining layers of the capelet. And once it was pinned in place, I sewed those layers up and then cut the capelet down the center at one of the sides and pinned it down and sewed it so there was an opening to get my head into that neck hole. And then I flipped it inside out and ironed down my seams to check my progress, which was like, okay, but not really what I was going for. It kind of just looked like I was wearing a circle skirt around my neck. Okay, little bitty quick update. I'm working on the capelet. I'm like halfway through with it, and I've run into a couple of little problems. Like, I don't love how it looks so far, mainly because the felt material is a little bit too stiff. This was kind of a fear of mine, but I still wanted to try to use it because I want to use it up. So that's kind of unfortunate. Secondly, I put little holes for my arms to go through for like ease of movement, and I put them a little bit too far in. Like, I didn't want to overestimate and put them too far out, and I've done the opposite. So it doesn't look the best. It doesn't look the most intentional. It kind of looks like a mistake, but this has led to some ingenuity because I was looking at it and I'm like, oh, the way this is folding, it kind of looks like just a big leaf. So I've decided I'm gonna lean into that. Just make it a leaf capelet, because that's kind of what it's gonna be anyway. So it actually makes a lot of sense, and I've been wanting to make something like that for a while, so it's like, hey, why not? The other thing I realized trying it on is that usually capelets are a lot more fitted around the shoulders. It's not just a straight up circle skirt that you're wearing around your neck. I think what I'm gonna do there is just go in and actually take out a little bit of space in the shoulders and round them and slope them so that it actually fits my shoulders. Those are the changes I'm gonna make. Hello. It's a lot later than I thought it would be now. I'll be honest, I'm eating my words. I am, because I really thought I'd be done with this by now, but I'm not. Are you purring? HD purring. Okay, I'm just procrastinating at this point. We do not have time to beat around the bush. Let's do it. Oh, I completely forgot to show you guys this, but we do have a lovely finished hat now. It's completely done. It just needs a bunch of stuff on it. So I made some progress tonight. I made a hat and like half a capelet. I'm doing something. I'm just also very slow. Let's do this. After checking on my executive producer and throwing on the final film of the evening, I began cutting and pinning the leaf shape into the body of the capelet. And after giving it a quick try on that you can't see because the view is obscured, I sewed up all the edges at lightning speed. That's right, folks. I didn't put any time lapse on this clip. That's a lie. It actually took a pretty long time. Once the capelet edges were done, I sewed up all of the edges of the collar piece and sewed together the hood piece as well. Then finally pinned both the pieces to the capelet itself and stitched that up, and then pinned on the lining collar piece and stitched that on as well before finally pinning the outer and lining collar layers together and sewing those up.
Okay, so I have essentially finished this and my witch hat, so I will see you guys tomorrow for all of the fun bits. The following night, I sculpted a collection of tiny mushrooms, which you can see on this blurry, poorly lit footage. But I did manage to get these slightly better non-time-lapse shots of the process, complete with the executive producer enjoying a nap in the background. Wow, she looks so comfortable. Now that's quite an army of fungi. These are gonna need to dry, so I will see you for whenever I paint them tomorrow. Hi, hello, it's the next day, Kira, and I really didn't get much done on the video yesterday, but I have kind of a good excuse because it was Shiloh's birthday, so we like went to the pumpkin patch and then we went to get sushi and it was a lot of fun, so I don't feel bad. But do you know what does make me feel kind of bad? Is that it is 10 p.m. right now and I have to finish this entire thing up tonight. That makes me feel a little bad. Oh, speaking of the pumpkin patch, I have just a really important little thing to show you. This is Fred. He's my one and only son. Anyways, we should stop procrastinating and crack on. It's making me a little nervous. But it is House of the Dragon night though, so at least I will have a royal train wreck to keep me company as I finish up these items. Hey, do you want to say hi?
There she is.
You want to purr into the microphone for the people? Is that HD purring? I don't know. Anyways, let's get to work. Cat transition.
So I started off the night by decorating our lovely witch staff, which I vastly underestimated the complexity of, which also apparently happens to be my toxic trait. I mean, if there's one thing you can really call me talented at, it's underestimating how long it takes me to do everything. Anyways, I found a use for this mossy orb I bought and stuffed it with some LEDs to make it look like a firefly lantern. Then I elongated the curve on the top of my staff with some galvanized wire and spent a while fiddling with the two sticks to get them to intertwine how I want so that I could secure them in place. Which I did with some cord and cut some strips of pleasure. Oh my gosh. To add a bit more detail. For lack of a better spot, I also hid my LED battery pack in a makeshift pouch, which really made me feel like I was about to slip it to the palace guard in order to bribe him. Just really looks like there should be gold pieces in there.
I have a little pouch on my wizard staff. I wonder what's in there. It's not LED batteries.
And I think that unintentional, ratty aesthetic is really the beauty of going into a crafting process for something like this without a concrete design. It really lends itself to creativity and figuring out what looks best on the spot. Speaking of unintentional design, there are bugs in those sticks. I saw them and they went back in and didn't come out, so I can only assume that there are still bugs in those sticks. Anyways, once I was at a stopping place with my staff, I moved on to working on my garments and I ironed all the seams on my capelet into place. And speaking of iron,
House of the Dragon spoilers ahead.
the inferior Hightower brother now sits upon the Iron Throne, and Gerard Way is quaking. And so am I, because I'm Team Aemond, so this was definitely a different episode this week. I really feel like it boils down to the entire royal court going, "Where is the king?" with Aemond whispering under his breath, "I'm right here." But you know who wasn't there? Rhaenyra and Daemon. For the entire episode. Kind of miss them. And also, are we not going to talk about how Rhaenys really came out of nowhere and did some light genocide with that coronation scene? Like, power move, but also, maybe she wouldn't be the best queen. I think the whole realm is really feeling the loss of Viserys the Peaceful. Do any of his kids take after him? Oh yeah, so about what you're seeing. By now I began gluing on obscene amounts of moss, which is a task that took far longer than I thought it would, and proved to require far more moss shaping skills to make it look good. The moss gluing you're seeing here took hours, and once I was at a stopping place there, I knew I needed to get a move on with the hat. So I glued a green ribbon around the base and began decorating away, placing little pieces of foliage and my fake mushrooms. But alas, despite my efforts, I did not get things as finished as I wanted to, so, Hello! It's the next morning, and as you can see, I got a good bit of progress on this last night. I was just hot gluing into the wee hours of the morning, but there's still a couple of things that I want to do real quick this morning, so let's finish this up. This finishing touches decorating process probably took me another 3 hours of work. I even sculpted some more shelf fungi off camera the night before because I can't help myself, and kind of went all out with the details, but hey, I spent a lot of money on moss, so I wanted it to be as cool as possible. I might also wear this to a Ren Fair I'm going to this upcoming Saturday, so I think it's worth it to have a cool costume. Anyways, I made good use of my string lights by arranging them on the hat and capelet using the same bag method as before to hide my battery pack. And I used the last string on the staff before using all of my leftover foliage and goodies to do the finishing touches on that, which also took at least another hour. In the end, I used 2 entire packs of hot glue sticks while decorating all of this, so let that sink in. And with that... Okay, so that took way longer than I thought it would, but all of the pieces are finally done. So let's, the both of us, see what it finally looks like on right now in the reveal. so much for watching this program, and a very special thank you goes to my patrons, especially my executive producers. Mel W, Jim Jiminy, Satoni, Sushi McNushi, Megan Penland, Owlian, Bean the Bread, Bobo McFo, Gravity Drop, Hypnos, India, Jessica Dilling, Katie, Michael Twycross, Panda Pie 365, Refnlings, Silver, Sweet Winter Garden, Welly Kelly, and Will Schmidt. If you like what you see here and you'd like to assist me in purchasing overpriced bags of preserved moss, do consider supporting my Patreon. The link will be in the description. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to go and engage in a week-long blitz of costuming hell.
Someone really needs to take my YouTube channel away from me.